Hey everybody, it's Lindsay and I'm here today with a new video on stamp stacking. I will be using the brand new 2 Paper Divas stamp set called Cupcake Treat. This is a very small stamp set, just 1 sentiment and 1 image, but I'm going to be able to create an entire card front with just this one simple stamp set because of this technique that I'm using today. So to start off with, I'm just mounting that cupcake onto an acrylic block, very simple and easy, and I've got a piece of 4" by 5 1/4 white cardstock. This is plain white cardstock here, and I'm just going to start off by stamping 2 of those cupcakes right on the very bottom, and I'm going to cut off the very bottom edge of those. Now I have already cut out masks. These are from Inknikado masking paper, and I cut out 3 of those. That's all I needed. You might want to cut out a few more. It just depends on how your stamping ends up going if you need more than that. I only ended up needing 3, but you could need 4 or 5. It just depends. So once I'm done with my very bottom layer, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start masking off that bottom layer and stamping new stamps right above those previously ones that I've stamped on that first row. And I just want to make sure to cut off the bottom of the stamp, and these are going to look like they're further behind the first row of cupcakes. So it's going to look like as you keep stamping, your cupcakes are going further back in the distance. One of the things you do want to do in stamping is take an extra minute just to look and make sure that you've got everything you need masked off before you stamp down with your stamp. It's just, this can get a little bit tricky at some points because you might have just a section that needs masked off and you don't see it, and then you stamp down, and once you do, there's really no going back. I mean, if you mess it up, you've got to kind of start over. So just take that extra minute to look and make sure you've got everything masked off before you go ahead and stamp down. So I am just going to continue to mask off these images and just keep stamping, making sure to go slightly above my previously stamped rows and cutting off just a portion of the bottom of that cupcake. Now I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I will be using alcohol markers to color these in, but you could use whatever black ink works with your coloring medium. And once I had about 3/4 of this cardstock filled up, I stopped stamping, and I didn't leave this very symmetrical. I've got 1 cupcake on the right, 1 on the left on the last row, so it's not perfectly straight rows, which again just helps with this technique and makes it look more authentic. Now in this stamp set, it comes with a sentiment that says treat yourself, and I wanted to use just this one stamp set to create this entire card front, just because whenever you're starting out stamping and you don't have a whole lot of stamps, it can feel really intimidating to create an entire card with just one set of stamps. I mean, if you go online and look at even some of my cards, I use 2 and 3 stamp sets in some of these, and it can add up for a new card maker. So I wanted to show you that you could create an entire card with just one little stamp set, and this one from 2 Paper Divas was a perfect example. It's a great price point, and it's just 1 image and 1 sentiment, but I could continue to use all these products over and over and have a whole set of birthday cards to either give as a gift or to give with a gift. So it helps with new card makers to see these kinds of videos, and it doesn't feel so intimidating to get started. Now I started coloring in my images when I was done with the stamping, and I used my alcohol markers. I focused more on the cake part of the actual cupcake for something different. I used some creams for vanilla, pinks for strawberry, browns for chocolate, and then some very dark and deep reds for a red velvet look. Now for each of the icings, I did them exactly the same. I just switched the shadows up on some of them, and I'm using some creams for more of a buttercream look. Buttercream isn't exactly white, it's more of a yellowish tint or cream tint, so that's what I went with here. Now for the candles, I kept those all white, and I also put in a little shadow underneath each of these little cupcakes there at the very bottom. And then I came in with some yellows and orange for each of the flame, and that finished off all of the coloring for the card front. And there you can see it's ready to go onto a card base. Now to keep this nice and clean and simple, I just used some fun foam with some double-sided adhesive, and I'm just going to put that right on the back of my colored panel. And then I'll go ahead and peel off the backing on the other side of the fun foam that I put double-sided adhesive on as well. And I will just place this right on top of an A2 top folding card base that I made myself. Now for a more masculine card, you could really just keep this nice and clean and simple and keep this just as it is. But I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle, so I just took my Wink of Stella glitter brush pen and I'm going over each of the candles. Not the frosting or the cake part or anything, just the candles, just to add a little bit of sparkle to these and help them pop out a little bit more off that plain white cardstock. And then for a little bit more shine, I added some of the Simon Says Stamp Moonshine sequins, and I'm just placing those down with my Quick Sticks tool and using glossy accents to secure them, and that finished off the card. I hope this technique has given you guys some ideas on how you can use just one single stamp set to create an entire card front, and especially new card makers to see how you can use minimal supplies to create a beautiful card. As always, I will leave you guys with a close-up of this card and just a few pictures. For more information and the supply list, you can head over to my blog, craftingwhilecaffeinated.wordpress.com. The link is in the description box below, as well as that I in the top right hand corner. That will get you there too. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and happy crafting!